Starting in an easy seated position with our hands on our knees, focusing on our breath, inhaling, exhaling, taking a few moments here for ourselves before we begin our yoga practice, and being mindful of always moving in a pain-free range of motion, getting ready to move on to our backs. Supporting ourselves to come down one vertebrae at a time. We can take our hands onto our belly or keep them long by our sides. And now let's close the eyes and focus on our breathing, inhaling and exhaling. Now let's work to deepen our breath. Feeling the belly rise and fall. Feeling our ribs expanding. Beginning to lengthen the exhalation. And continuing our deep breaths, let's start to rotate the neck. Slowly rotating our head to one side, bringing it to a comfortable position. We can slowly take it back to center and now to the other side. Let's do this one more time on each side, taking our head to center and over. And now back to center and over to the other side for the last time. And now back to center. Focusing on our breath. And now let's start to tilt the pelvis, lifting the tailbone slightly off the mat and then back down. So we'll be inhaling to lift and exhaling to come back down. Let's work a few more of these on our own. Noticing how this feels on our back. Let's do one more. And now bringing our hips back down, we're going to start to draw a circle with our hips in a clockwise motion. Bringing circulation to the sacroiliac region. And now changing it to a counterclockwise circle. Coming back to neutral, preparing for flowing bridge. If this feels comfortable, let's push into the feet, raising the hips. And then bringing them back down. Moving with awareness, moving with our breath. You want to inhale to lift and exhale to come back down. The breath helps to relax the body and clear the mind. One more time. And coming back down slowly. From here, let's take behind the knee of your right leg, bring it into your chest. Your left leg can stay bent or extend that leg out and circle the ankle of your right leg. And changing the direction. Feeling the release in the hip flexor. And now bending the left knee, we're going to extend that right leg out. Take behind your left leg. We're going to hug that into the chest now. You can start to circle the ankle on your left leg. And change the direction. Being sure to breathe in and exhale out. And now taking both knees into the chest, hugging them in, and if you like, gently rocking side to side. From here, taking the hands to the knees, drawing the knees in and circling the knees and hips apart from each other, and then together up in the center, drawing a circle. And these can be small circles or bigger circles, however you're feeling today. And then changing the direction. And now let's bring the feet to the floor and bringing the knees apart from one another, preparing for butterfly. And we're going to start to flow our butterfly, drawing the knees in with an inhale. And now taking our knees apart with an exhale. Bringing the knees back in and apart once again. Closing our eyes if this feels comfortable. Always moving in a comfortable range of motion. And now holding in our butterfly. Bringing our knees to one side, slowly coming up, preparing to come into all fours. For cat and cow. Stacking our joints as we prepare for cow. Inhaling, shining our hearts forward. Exhaling, rounding the spine, crown of the head points to the mat. Inhale and lift. And now exhale and round. Again, inhale, shining our hearts forward, lifting the tailbone. exhaling and rounding. Continuing on with a few more cat and cow on your own, working in a pain-free range of motion. Coming back now to a neutral spine. We're going to find lateral flexion. You're going to look over to your right shoulder, looking towards your right foot. Exhaling here. Inhaling to center, exhaling over to your left. Inhale back, over to the right. Back to center, again to your left. And back to center. And your last time to the right. Center. And final time to the left. Back to our neutral spine. And now coming to spinal twist, we'll take our right hand up towards the ceiling. We can gaze at our hand with our eyes. Bringing the hand back down to the mat. We're going to shift over to the other side. Left hand comes up. Bringing the hands back down. Over and raise that arm up. Bringing it back down to the mat. To the other side, to your left. Working always in a comfortable range of motion for you. Again to the right. Back down to your mat. Last time here to the left. And down to the mat, back to your neutral spine. Shifting our hips back to child pose. We're going to stack the fists, and we're going to rest our forehead right on those stacked fists. You can have your knees apart here if you like, or if you're more comfortable with your knees together. Just trying to find our most comfortable child pose for us today. Breathing into our back, releasing out. When we're ready, reaching our arms forward to extended child. We're going to take this into a plank position. So shifting forward into our inclined plank or modified plank. Holding, and now shifting the hips back into our child pose. Holding, now lifting back up into plank. Shifting hips back to child. Inhaling forward. Exhaling to shift back into child. Inhaling, come up. And now let's lower down to our mat. We're going to fold our hands and stack them on top of each other, resting our forehead on those hands, having some space in the feet. Closing the eyes, we'll take a few breaths here in this position. When we're ready, we'll keep our forehead resting on our hands, and we'll take an inhale and lift our right leg up as high as we can, bringing it back down, going to the other side, lifting, and lowering back to the right, lifting up and lowering down. Inhale and lift your left. Exhale and bring it down. Back to your right, lifting with that inhale. Exhaling down. Back to your left. Bringing it down. Taking time here. And noticing how this feels for us today. These alternating leg lifts. Bringing both legs down, taking a minute. Bringing our arms long if we like. We're going to do an alternating left arm, right leg lift. And now bring that down. Coming to the other side, left leg lifts, right arm comes up, back down. Back to your right leg and your left arm. Bringing it down, inhaling, lifting right arm and left leg. Bringing that back down. Only if this feels comfortable, we'll continue. If you like, you can keep your hands under your forehead. Let's do one more each side. Finishing here, left leg lifts, right arm comes up, and now back down to the mat. Let's bring those hands under our forehead, taking in a breath, bringing our hands to our sides, pushing up and back into child pose with that exhale. Checking in with our breath and checking in with our back. And from here, we're going to come on up, bringing our legs around, sweeping them forward until we're seated on our backside. Taking behind our knees to lower down one vertebrae at a time, nice and slow. And once we're here, we can draw the knees into the chest, hugging them in, and if you like, rocking side to side. And now lowering our feet to the floor. If you have a block, we're going to find that now. We're going to move into a restorative pose. So taking that block, sliding it underneath our hips, releasing down onto the block with our hips. You can have your hands on your belly or along your side. Just relaxing and breathing into this stretch, this restorative pose. Closing our eyes. If you'd like to lift up a little higher, you can take your block and turn it on the side, and then releasing down onto the block and holding this pose, using your breath, keeping your feet flat. And now let's carefully release out of this pose. Gently removing the block from underneath us, slowly bringing those hips back down to the mat, one vertebrae at a time, taking in a breath. And let's take a few breaths here before we move in to lying spinal twist. And now pressing into the feet to lift the hips and turning our bent knees over to one side. We're going to bring those arms out in a T, palms on the floor, and if you like, turning our head away from our knees. Breathing in and seeing how this feels on our spine. And now come back to center, lifting the top leg first, and we're shifting over to the other side, bringing those knees right over, turning our head away if we like, relaxing into this pose. Breathing into our bent knee spinal twist. Lifting back up, one leg at a time. Preparing now for final relaxation. We can take our hands to our belly if we like. We can keep our knees bent and our feet flat. Or if you like, you can extend your legs out and bring your arms along your side. You can have your palms up facing towards the ceiling. Breathing in. Exhaling out. Finding whatever is comfortable for you. Let's slowly start to bring awareness to our body. If your legs are long, let's bring our feet in. And we're going to shift over and we're going to find a seated position coming up. Let's close our eyes, placing our hands on our knees. Taking a breath. We're going to inhale, arms up above your head and down to your heart center. Exhale. Namaste.